Hi all, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We'll wait for a few more minutes and then we'll start.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
I live in Vijay here.
Yeah, tell me,
Uh,
Vijay.
yeah, this is actually I missed to join the demo class session, so I'm trying, I'm joining for the first time. So I have a couple of questions. So should I ask now or end of the session?
Vijay, it's a demo section actually. So,
Okay, fine. Yeah, then I'll ask at the end. Yeah, thanks.
sure, sure. We'll take your questions at last.
Okay, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I guess we'll start. So, first of all, thank you guys for joining the session. So, so before starting the session, I would like to know a bit about your background so that I can start. Is there anyone new to the data engineering stream or like any prior experience or like have some idea on AWS?
Uh, Hi, Matthew. I would like to introduce myself. I am Ramesh Kumar. I am having experience of 15 years in Oracle PL SQL development, and I'm having support experience in AWS also. So I would like to learn all the concepts in the AWS. That's why I joined in this course.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool, Ramesh.
Yeah, Libin, myself, Vijay. I'm having around 16 plus years of experience. Basically, I'm from a ETL background. Currently, I'm working on Informatica, ETL, Informatica Power Center, as well as Informatica Cloud. Now,
Okay.
as part of the new assignment, we will be, they're asking us to migrate from Informatica Power Center to AWS using EMR. So they are saying that it's big data related thing. Uh, so yeah, and I'm completely new to AWS to understand what exactly this AWS. But I went to a couple of videos from YouTube and to understand what is Glue and S3 and all. So yeah, primarily like from my side, like I'm looking like how to work with EMR and Airflow and also converting logic from step functions to Airflow. So
Okay.
uh, and also APIs. We have a couple of API requirements also. So this primarily this is what I'm looking at ETL from
Okay.
ETL.
Okay. Okay. Fine. I could see a couple of people are joining. So, yeah. So, what about you, Praveen? Okay. So, Regu.
Hello. Yes. Yeah. This is Raghu. Um, yeah. Done data. Like you're asking my background.
Yes, yes. Because like I
Yeah.
mean,
Just.
I'll
Yeah.
able.
I'm working as a SRE. And for a company called KU's SaaS application company. So I'm working from the platform end. So which is hosted on AWS itself. So do have experience in the infrastructure side of things and a bit of databases, like taking
Mhm.
backups and automation. So right now looking to upskill in the field of data. So yeah, that's from my end. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So, uh, yeah, I guess like I mean, almost all of you having experience or like some idea about the background things, right? So basically why I ask this like for the prerequisite is so like when we are dealing with this, right, I'll be just covering up what is required and what are the essential things. So we will not be going into the basic levels of like basic, I mean the select star from C, I mean a table, right, this SQL queries. So we will not be covering the entire SQL part, but we will be covering what is required. So when we develop a pipeline or like when we create an ETL process, then we will be writing the required codes. We will not be going an high level or like into the basics actually. So the basic part you have to learn from yourself. You can obviously ask doubts, clear all of your queries in this section, but we will not be covering uh, from the scratch. Okay, so if you are having any requirement or any help in that part, you can obviously reach out to me. I'll help you on that part as well. Okay, so when it comes to the course, right? So today in this section we will be seeing what are the topics that will be getting covered, and if you're having any additional requirements, you can give that as well. So based on that, we'll prepare the course structure. Okay, clear? So so the the initial, right, initially we will be covering up. I'll just go to the slide. Okay, so just see what are the current roles which are available in the data domain. So currently we are having mainly three roles that you have heard about: data engineer, data analyst, and a data scientist, right? So like when it comes to data engineering, so data engineer will be dealing with the pipeline development. When I said pipeline, it is an ETL process, or it can be the data loading into a data warehouse. So we have to design and build and manage the infrastructure that allows for collection and storage and analyzing of the data. So these are the main responsibilities comes for the data engineer. First thing, we have to collect the data. It can be from different sources. So from different sources, we will be collecting the data. And for storage, we are having many places, different kind of databases, and we have to figure out where exactly the data lies in exactly. So what can be the better way to store the data? Then we'll be storing it, and retrieval of data. So how fast the data can be retrieved, and for the different purposes. So different industry will be having different purposes, right? So based on our purposes, what will be the best uh, data destination? So that we will be identifying, and we have to design the data pipeline. So this pipeline includes three steps: collection, storage, and retrieval. So this is what a main role of data engineer in the current industry. So the skills required for this role is like any cloud knowledge. It can be from, I mean, AWS or Azure or GCP. And another one, it's like any programming knowledge. Either you can use Python, Scala, or Java, or R. So, and SQL. SQL is the mandatory thing for this one for understanding the core concepts. And this is the role of data engineer actually in the industry. So when we say about data analyst, so they will be mainly fetching the stored data and figuring out the insights from it. For like, consider like we are having a specific requirement, then we have to analyze the data and we have to figure it out. Consider like in Amazon, we all know like it's an e-commerce site, right? So for a product, the sales is going down. So the data analyst has to understand why it is going down. So they have to understand the transaction and what can be improved by identifying the competitors. So that kind of roles will comes into data analyst. And another part will be data visualization. So that's also a kind of retrieval from the storage. And using the data, we used to create some dashboards or stories using different platforms. You would have heard about Power BI, Tableau, or QuickSight, right? So we'll be using any one of these. Or nowadays, majority of the companies are going towards Looker as well. So any one of the tool needs to be familiar for data visualization, and we have to create dashboards using the data that we will be retrieving or taking from different sources. That is what like a data engineer will do. Basically, for data visualization, for data analysis, everything a data engineer it's required. They have to ingest the data into the table in a specified manner, or like as per the business requirement. and the data scientist. So the data scientist, right? The data scientist will be doing the data analysis for model creation and for machine learning. So data scientist, right? They analyze the data to extract insights to build predictive models and solve complex problems. So they will always with the problems, and they will combine their expertise in statistics, programming, and the domain knowledge to uh, create some strategies, and based on the strategies they will be creating some models. So for this they will be using the languages like R, SQL, and Python or Scala. So majorly they will be using Python, R, and SQL. So in this domain, as well as some statistical knowledge as well, and some machine learning libraries like TensorFlow, Scikit-learn. So that are some some libraries that will be available in R and Python. So these are the basic roles of data scientist. Then we do have another category saying like machine learning engineers. So they will also create, basically they will concentrate mainly on the model creation part. And another role like data architect, and another one it is DBA and data consultant. So data architect, it's mainly into designing the data management systems. And that, I mean, DBA, right? DBA, it's like database administration. They will be managing databases to ensuring the performance and the security. And data consultants, obviously they will be providing their expertise guidance on a data project. So these are the main roles related to data in the current industry. So these are, and prerequisite is for this, obviously for data architect, right? They should be knowing all the basic level information till to the advanced level information. They will be designing the database systems, and they will be identifying which schema needs to be used and how it needs to be used, and what are all the things can be assigned as a primary key based on the domain, and how the table should be related to each other, and how the security should be there. So everything needs to be done by the data architecture. So for that, from the basics to the advanced level expertise of SQL, as well as that DBMS should be required. And coming to database administration, they will be managing the databases. Also, they have to ensure the security as well as the performance, right? So these are the basic roles and skills required in the current industry for different roles related to data. So do you have any doubts on this or any clarification required on this? I can just quickly jump into that before moving to the next session.
Uh, uh, do we have any thing like a cloud administrator kind of thing role, Levin? Yeah.
Cloud administration, it is there. So that will mainly comes under the DevOps part actually. So when we move it into uh, a cloud data engineering or anything related to cloud, right? Cloud infra is there, as well as like DevOps part is also there. So they will be mainly dealing with the operation side as well as the infra side.
Okay.
Okay. So I mean, in our sessions, right? So hope you all gone through the topics that we will be covering, right? So do you need any information on the topics as well?
Yes, we need. I would like to hear about what you will tell in this one, and what are the languages must be learned. Languages are the code. Regarding those things, we want as a list.
Okay, sure. So so first of all, the prerequisites, right? So prerequisites is like basic SQL. So you should be understanding the concept of SQL and basic querying. And after that, you should be having some basics of Python or at least PySpark. So even if you don't have PySpark experience, I can that one while covering the session, but at least you should be having some Python knowledge. So SQL, Python are the two basic things for this course. Prerequisites, I would say, and
Mm-hmm.
an AWS account. So majority of the things that we will be covering, it's a paid services uh, that like even if you are trying it from your AWS account, you have to pay for
Mm-hmm.
that one. Else you can avail a free tier and you can configure that in an EC2. You will be getting a free tier access, right? So that is bit complex. We will not be covering up in that level, but we will be specify. We will be making use of the services which is available in uh, the service section of our console.
Mm-hmm.
You can, I will give you some free tools as well where you can try out this concept in a coding level, but even if you want to use it from the AWS, you have to pay for that as well. Clear?
Okay. Free tier will be available to do all the things, or we have to go for the
No.
paid version.
You should be the free tier will be having all the services that we are going to cover. Majority of the services that we will be covering in the course is paid one, so
Mm-hmm.
you will be paying for the time that whatever you are using the services.
Mm-hmm. You are saying Scala and Python. Python is enough. Scala also we need to learn.
In any one fine, you can go with
Any
Python.
Python. Okay, Python I am doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what are the
And the
topics you are
topics,
going to? No. Yeah.
sure.
Proceed.
Yeah, coming to that. So initially we start with uh, data management architecture for data engineers and data analytics. So there we will be covering up uh, different type data, including like structured data and unstructured data, and databases and data warehouses, and a lake formation, and understanding the data warehouse as well as data marts and
Mm-hmm.
distributed storage. And we will be seeing like parallel processing. And as you know, like we are having two set, right? Like one is the columnar level data, another one it's uh, different file format, I would say. Like we will be having different file formats, basically end up with saving data in different formats. So how exactly the data is getting stored in different databases, and dimensional modeling, and understanding the core concept behind it, and how we will be feeding data into the data mart or like data warehouse, that is what our ETL process and ETL pipelines, and building lakes with some big data applications. And we will be building a lake in AWS, that is what our S3. And we will be identifying, we will be installing the CLI in our system, that is command line tool for creating or accessing services. Another one will be coming to the AWS part actually. So there we will be identifying or creating AWS S3 buckets data. And when I say storing, we have to follow certain rules actually. So for the ETL process, how it should be. So basically for an ETL process, we will be getting some paths, right? I mean, we'll be getting data from different sources. So that will come and land into an incoming folder. Then the transformation logics that will be happening in the staging section. And later it will be ingested to any database or like into S3, but in a different file. So all those that part. And after that, we will be identifying different services for ingesting data into AWS or like ingestion of data. We will be covering DMS and Kinesis and MSK, AppFlow, and different protocols are there, SFTP and FTP. So file transferring protocol and secure file transfer protocols. We'll be doing that part as well, and data sync, and we will be using SNS and SQS to messaging services, and AWS Snow family. So these are the things that we will be using for data ingestion, and for transformation we will be using AWS Lambda and AWS Glue and AWS EMR. So these are the, I mean, Lambda for light processing and Glue for the serverless Spark processing. and EMR
Mm-hmm.
for ecosystem processing. So these things we will be seeing. And also like we will be using Amazon managed workflow, that is like our Airflow, an orchestration tool for orchestrating the pipelines. Also, we will be identifying and creating a workflow using step function, and another workflow for orchestrating using glue components. And
Mm-hmm.
apart from that, for the consuming of the data, now we said about the ingestion and transformation, and for the consuming, we will be using Amazon Athena for querying against the data lake that we have created using S3. And another one will be Amazon Redshift and Redshift Spectrum for data warehousing and data lake architecture, and Amazon QuickSight for the visualization part. Okay. And also apart
As,
from, sure.
as a whole, you will create one of project data, or you, some file, some sources you will create, and you will
It's
map.
not it will not be kind of a lecture here. It will be completely a hands-on. So we will be taking a file and we will be creating the flow, and it's completely on part actually. So we will be
Mm-hmm.
creating from the scratch to the end, and like we
Mm-hmm.
will be
Okay.
just explaining the concepts as a PPT or something, but everything
Understood.
will be, yeah, as a like a hands-on experience for.
Okay. By the time
Yeah, we will,
we will have a small project type of thing, which is the source to
okay.
the fact table, and we would like to know what is the difference between the RDBMS and unstructured data handling with the cloud.
Correct. So, I mean, so
Yeah.
I'm quickly show you that part as well. So, if you look at here, right, we will be having, I mean, kind of nine different databases in AWS. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the relational databases, right? So that is
Yeah.
some. So what I would say like the Postgres or MySQL. So
Mm-hmm.
other than that, we are having DynamoDB and Elastic Cache and DocumentDB. So different databases. So we will be taking, I mean, if you see the DynamoDB, it's a NoSQL database, and if you look at this Amazon DocumentDB, the document type where, I mean, we will be storing it as a JSON format. So these are all easy for scalable. So we will be going through each database and showing how the data is saved and how that can be affect, I mean, for a certain type of data. Even if we want
Mm-hmm.
to save a big content, and
Okay.
that currently from different social media that is generating a huge amount of data, right? So
Yes.
which user uses that data, like what kind of data. So all these things we will be getting as a real time. So for the uh, real time log process, or like if you want to process anything in a real time, then we will be using, I mean, Apache Kafka or Kinesis. In terms of AWS, we will be using Kinesis and create a real time system like streaming jobs. So that's also a part of this course. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, so we said about the consuming, right? Visualization part.
Mm-hmm.
After visualization part, we will be, I mean, covering a part like when a file's landed. Basically this is how normally it process. Like we'll be getting some files from the upstream teams. So they will be put the files into S3. So basically when the file comes, the job needs to start. So it needs to sense the file is available, then the job needs to start automatically, right? So there is a
Yes. Yes.
trigger event. There's a trigger event. We will be covering to that part. So we
Mm-hmm.
will be
Okay.
creating a Lambda layer in AWS policy. And when
Okay.
a file landed in S3, so that will basically trigger the Lambda, and Lambda will trigger the job. Basically, it can be a step function or it can be a job in Airflow. So we will be showing you all the different methods that is available, and we will be giving you some examples, which one is the best one for certain things. And coming
Okay.
to the data and data security and governance part, we will be I mean telling you about the encryption part and anonymized data and authorization authentication, so all the data security and governance related things. And
Mm-hmm.
will be the streaming jobs. So for streaming jobs, as I said, like it's a real-time job. For that, we will be using Kafka as well as there is another one actually is called database migration system. So once the data getting loaded into S3 as a real-time process, then we will be moving that into any our transactional DB or like whatever the database which we hold. Then there is a process like database migration service. We'll be using that to ingest the data back into your SQL system. Uh, and
Okay.
like another one will be transforming that for optimize analyzing purpose. For that, what we'll be doing, it's like we'll be using Glue for creating, we'll be creating some Glue Studio and some
I
CDC engine data capture will be there. So whenever the changes occur, we have to capture that. For that also, we'll be using DB, sorry, DM. So,
Hello, am I audible?
yes, yes, sure, please.
What you're explaining is good. And then this thing we are using AWS UI or any API we are using.
This part will be entire things we will be covering up with two things actually. So one, I will be showing you console part by doing taking the service and creating it from the AWS UI. Another one will be we will be setting up a CLI in the system. So I'll take you through that as well. And any editor, any you will be having any IDE, right? So it can be PyCharm or Visual Studio Code, anything. So you can use that as well. And for the creation, right? For the creation of services, either you can go to the console panel and take it manually and create it, or you can use a YAML file for creating. That is what cloud formation. I will take you through both the methods to create.
Okay.
Okay. And in our sections,
And
we will be following mainly the console part.
this Airflow, are we covering the Airflow topics?
Airflow, like we will be creating a DAG where we will be creating a task, and I will be showing to interact how you can interact with different services. And I'll be showing you like not entire Airflow, but what are the things are required. We will be sharing it, and we will not go into plugin development and all, but we will show you like how to create a DAG and how you can interact with different AWS services in that, and how you can take it from one task to another task using Xcompool and Xcompush. Okay.
Are you covering in practical way or only
Yes,
theoretical?
yes, we are covering it in
Experimental.
practical. We'll be using, AWS managed Airflow, and we will be creating a DAG there, and we will be creating different tasks. So this file sensing and all, we'll use to create a DAG. Basically, this is the plan. When we get a file in S3, that will trigger the DAG. Then it will take the file into an EMR process, and after the process, it will finally ingest the data again in S3 as a different format. So that will be identified, sensed, and getting triggered in. That's a practical task. That's what we are going to implement. So by doing that, you will be covering most required things in Airflow as well. So you will get the core concept, you will get an idea how you can interact with AWS services and all. And different operators are there, Python operator and task operator. Different operators are there in Airflow. So we'll be covering up that as well.
And what about CI/CD pipeline? Nowadays, everyone is asking, do you have any knowledge in CI/CD pipeline?
So CI/CD line, right? So for that, basically, we'll be using another services actually. So majority of the company will be using Jira or I mean or GitHub Actions nowadays. Few of the companies are using. So that is a different part actually. So we'll not be covering in depth of that one. But if you require that part, I can give you a quick overview of that. But we be implementing it, like it's a basically an image actually. So nowadays everything it's getting built in Docker, and right, so it's a Docker image. So image creation, and we have to, so you are asking it for the Airflow or The
Airflow as well as ASD pipeline.
Okay. So Airflow, it is straightforward actually. If we are using AWS system, AWS managed Airflow, you have to push your code into S3 that will get reflected. So I can show you that part. But ETL process, everything here, right? All the step function and all other things that will be, uh, we are creating it in a console, as well as we either we here will not be showing it in a repository actually. So the CI/CD implementation will be quite difficult for covering up,
Uh,
because I can give you a demo
yeah,
session like with the other tools, but not using AWS.
okay, fine. And what
uh,
about PySpark?
PySpark, right? That is the coding which we will be using actually. So PySpark, I will give you a demo like what is the required things, covering up the required topics that I can do.
And are we going to cover any specific libraries in depth, Levin? Like pandas, NumPy. So are we going to cover on these topics in depth, specific to
So
UTL?
specific to ETL, we will be, I mean, when we deal about the Spark jobs, right? We will be covering up PySpark, and I will tell you how you can integrate PySpark for leverage pandas uh, it in some data frames. And no, the Q thing will be like we will be covering up exactly required and what the current, from the industry perspective, what are the things that we will be working on. Yes, in that level, if you ask pandas, yeah, basic transformations we will be covering up. And same in PySpark as well. And NumPy for some functionalities, if we might need to use that part, then we will be covering it up, because it's a huge library. If you look at their, I mean, that will be having, I mean, hundred thousands plus functionalities, right? So covering up all the functionality will be difficult. So
Okay.
the time
And
constraints are there. Yeah.
yeah, and with respect to EMR, because I see in the content,
Mm.
course content, just overview of EMR, because my
Uh,
work is going to be completely on EMR. That's what I heard, but I am not having any idea what exactly how
mm,
EMR and AWS, I mean, Glue service are completely different. So if
mm.
at all the work has to be done on EMR, so what are the things that I should have a prerequisite knowledge? Like I see inside pig and hive and something step functions, all those are defined under EMR. So how, to what extent EMR topics will be covered?
So EMR, we will be covering an end-to-end, like how you can, uh, when you create a job and run it in EMR, so that will create a console for you where you can identify how many resources took to run the job and how long it takes and what exactly getting implemented. So basically, when you trigger a job, split it into uh, basically your code will get splitted into jobs, and these jobs will get splitted into stages, and these stages will get splitted into tasks. So this is the basic, and this task is getting executed in your system. So it's a high level part. So we will be looking at in a task level. Okay. So the job level, stage level, as well as the task level. So in that part, we will be covering up basic hive concepts. If you look asking for the concepts, high level hive, we will be seeing how it is exactly getting executed and hit against your resources, and how you can optimize your job, and what is the best way when you submit a job, what are the best, I mean, how much resources it will use, and how you can optimize that part, and what is the best way to do that. So these are the things we will be covering. I will taking the EMR console part, and I will be saying like, okay, there are different parts, so we will be explaining the parts as well. And when it comes to step function, the glue, this is completely different. EMR and glue, it's different. So basically both can be used for running the jobs, but Hadoop managed system, that is what EMR is. So, and when it comes to glue, that is a serverless. So there also we are having different concepts inside glue. We will be covering almost everything inside glue as well. And coming to step function, that is again another section. So for step function, we will be covering up basically all the required things as well. So uh, we'll be creating an automate ETL and like microservice and prepare data for ML application. So these are the three things that use cases that we will be covering up in the course.
Okay. So for ETL, right? So whether should I go with glue or EMR? So I'm just
So it
confused
is
with that one.
yeah, that part also we'll tell. It's purely depends upon the business logic actually. So if you are having a high transformation that needs to be executed, and the amount of transformation, and like here you have to interact with different source systems, so like getting data from different systems, and the transformation is also including with the another systems. So then you have to go with EMR part. And like if it is a straightforward functionality where you will be extracting or you will having a file and you have to perform some basic transformations, then you can go with glue. Glue is a serverless, and EMR it's a server application actually. So you have to log into an instance, then you have to check for the logs, and so these are the main difference. So I will give you some examples as well. So when we go through the content, I guess like you will be okay with
Yeah, because
like
reason
yeah.
why I'm asking this question is my complete work is on EMR. That's what I was informed. So, but in the
Mhm.
course content, I see like it's just a given one line statement like overview of EMR. So that is where I want to understand. So
No,
whether
like why
yeah,
it
it will.
is like, so it is like basically the glue and EMR, right? So basically these are all for running Spark jobs. So Glue, you can run other jobs as well. So basically, it's designed it for running Spark jobs. So when I say Spark jobs, right, the code, everything will be exactly the same, but you will be running it in different.
Is it just running or even complete ETL like extract, I mean transformation and loading the thing? So can we do
Everything,
can be done both
every,
from ETL can be done from EMR as well as glue. Is it that case or how it will be?
yes, you can do both from Glue as well as EMR. The extraction part as well as the transformation part and the loading part as well. So basically, what we do is the transformation, right? So the transformation part will comes to EMR or Glue. That is how the industry follows, but you actually do everything from EMR or Glue. It's up to you how you design your job. So the
Okay.
best
Yeah,
practices are
because
there.
it is because
Uh,
from my side it is confirmed that I have to use EMR, so not
yeah,
the glue. So that is why I want to focus more on EMR to
Hi,
understand.
Libin. Yeah, this is Sai. So just
yeah.
want to know, like, what is the scope of Redshift in your course content?
It's okay. So Redshift, we will be covering up the data warehouse part, right? So when we say about data warehouse, we will be covering up Redshift as well as Redshift Spectrum.
So
So
are
that
you
is when
going
you,
to show us like how to transform our data from S3 to Redshift? And
yes.
are you also going to show like how we are going to like kind of data migration from one environment to Redshift?
Yes, that is what when we cover about this, we are having a concept like DMS data migration task. Then we will be showing you like from Redshift to another systems as well as like another systems to Redshift, the migration task, right? So that part we will be showing up. Also, we will be showing you the data loading into Redshift clusters and taking snapshots and like
So
running
you're
queries.
going to also like cover the data, like how to load the data through Glue from S3 to Redshift, and also
Yes.
utilizing this copy command and how this massive parallel systems going to be benefited with different kind of formats, right?
Yes, that part we will be covering up actually.
So,
Hi, Matthew. Excuse me. This is Rama speaking.
Yeah, sure.
So what we are expecting from this training is we would like to explore most of the hands-on or demo sessions on the data processing with the UMR and the glue and orchestration. These are the things.
Okay.
Yeah, we can touch all the services and the databases, but we want to see more topics, and most of the time we would like to see on data processing part of only because of the data engineering,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. So
So
when we say yeah, complete data engineering course, that is what majority of the concept. And first we have to understand the concept, then we will be doing the hands-on
right,
part,
right,
right? So
yeah. At the basics level, you can touch all the services and databases, but we would like to learn and explore more on the EMR and the glue or data processing, uh,
mm,
including ETL, the large file or multiple files data processing from S3 to server, S3 to say data warehouse, or S3 to S3, or
ah,
on-prem to S3. There is different kind of things, including
correct.
Airflow
So
data
uh,
orchestration.
yes, so we will be creating orchestrating pipelines, but I mean, before that, we have to understand how these pipelines can be getting triggered, right? So it can be
Right, right.
based on a message, or it can be based on a file arrival, or it can be based on a time, right? We are having batch jobs as well as streaming jobs. So we'll be covering all the basic parts initially, then we will be moving into the
Yeah, yeah,
orchestration.
yeah. I agree. I accept that one. But
So
because instead of spending half of the month on services and databases and the last moment just 2 3 classes EMR, 2 3 classes Blue, we would like to go.
no, it's not that way. Majority of the things will be in the ETL flow
Right.
actually. So that is why, right? Like we will be saying, like, yeah, it will be mainly focusing on the ETL part, like data processing as well as data orchestration and different ways that a pipeline can get triggered. So
Oh,
yeah, it's purely, it's not like services based. It will be purely into the data engineering and data analytics space.
oh,
And we
oh,
will be
yeah.
these pipelines, right? We will be covering up
Hmm.
Athena and right sites as well. So that is for data visualization and as well as for querying your data, which it's saved in your AWS data lake.
Oh, fine.
I think from this side, hello, is I'm audible?
Ah, yes, yes, you're audible. Yeah, tell.
Yeah, hi, Metu. Actually, I'm working in one of the project which is related to the like data engineering, where basically they have a glue job. So the glue jobs run in particular time. So there is a partitioning script is also there. Actually,
Oh,
I came from the DevOps background, so I'm not that much into the data engineering. So
mhm.
right now, basically, these are the particular many scripts are there which basically they have, and it runs in particular time frame, like for data partitioning and
Okay,
for
it's a scheduled
like there are
job.
many scripts are there. So I just wanted to know that whether we can cover that type of thing, like to automate the particular pipeline which will run in particular time frame.
Ah, it is there. That is what we will be scheduling our jobs. That I mean, so when we schedule our job, that we'll be saying basic way we'll be saying it's a cron job or something. So that's
Mhm.
how it used to say earlier. So we will be scheduling a cron tab expression, and based on that, it used to run the job at the specified time. So we can cover that part as well, like how you can schedule it in a specified time and how you can define a cron expression. So that part will be getting covered actually.
Okay, and what about this Redshift? Basically, in Redshift, will you cover the optimization of the Redshift, like in our
Optimization, uh, optimization part we will cover, and so optimization, like not into that high level actually, but we will be
uh,
covering it up. Optimization part in the
basically
sense
like
like
there is a one thing like vacuum analysis is also there, and after that, like for example, if you have many tables in the source system, and after that, well, like you have to delete all, the unwanted columns from that particular tables. So that type
that
of
is
thing, like
that part will comes under data preparation actually. So that is a kind of transformation
mhm.
that is getting covered actually. That is not optimization. transformation or data preparation, well, yeah, that is getting covered. That is getting covered in the pipeline and orchestration flows.
So you're also going to cover the full load and incremental load
Yeah,
Yes,
to
actually.
Redshift, right?
right. Change in data capture, yeah, that is also there. Incremental load as well as full load part is also there. That is also two things that will be getting covered when we say about DMS, data migration services.
So this course is for how many months, Matthew?
It's for 45 hours actually, so we will be covering up all the things. And uh, if you are required any additional things, that I can check with the organizer, and I can cover that part as well.
Okay. So like in my project, basically we are using this stored procedures and all basically. So
Mhm.
so that also will you cover like stored procedures, SPs and all. So that SPs like from the source system they are moving to the like other particular DMS and from DMS to Redshift and RDS. So will you cover that, uh, Matthew? Like stored
uh,
procedures.
can we can say about that part, but it comes under SQL core concepts actually.
Okay,
So I
okay.
can give you a overview about stored procedure and how triggers are working. So how that can be done. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
hmm. Like, I mean, you can trigger or start. We can do a demo for that as well, like how you can load it using from that to S3 or some other part. Okay, for a load purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, yeah, Levin. So we are expecting something like, a kind of real-time project, which you would be walkthroughing it, kind of like
Uh,
whatever services which will be used in terms of when you if you go through a real-time project, let's say you would be utilizing S3, Redshift, EMR, or any different services. So we would be, want that integration to all the systems, that
mm.
kind of teaching we are expecting. Yeah, that's
Okay. Yeah, that is what we are going to do. It is not like sharing the PPT, and like that's what I earlier said. Like it is not like, I mean, sharing the PPT or telling you the concept. It will be purely based on and hands-on and walking you through the real-time data engineering projects and the real-time services. But we have to cover all the services that is related to data engineering, because for some use cases some might be the right one, right? So we will be telling you like how to use the right services, how you can identify the right services for your use case. So we'll be taking you through the different use cases. Based on that, we will be telling you the service as well. It's purely based on the, I mean, real time industry projects.
thank you.
And what about Databricks?
Databricks, say separate service, I mean topic actually. So you can integrate your AWS account there, then you can write your codes. So it's also kind of a glue notebook actually. I mean, if you are familiar with Jupyter notebook or glue notebooks, it's also same kind of thing. You can integrate. I will tell you that how you can integrate your AWS account there, and how you can access S3 there, and how you can run your transformations there. But we will not be jumping it into Databricks. So Databricks, it's a separate concept.
So are you going to cover PySpark for
PySpark we will be covering.
so PySpark generally
And
for
we,
writing step functions or any glue jobs or what?
So PySpark can be used for like, I mean, either if you're running it in a step function or glue or EMR, we will be covering three things actually. So either you can write it in step function or glue, or like running jobs in EMR. So how you can submit a job in EMR. So everything will be getting covered. So everything will be written in PySpark, because I guess if you want to do it in Scala also, that can be done. So I guess like that's up to you guys, like how you want to wish to take it forward. Or I can show you demo for both, but basically the concepts are same. It's just the syntactical level changes.
Are you covering any PySpark optimizations?
PySpark optimization we will cover. So when we say about or going through the courses, right, how we can optimize the job in that part, we will be covering up like PySpark optimization as
It's like driver memory
Yeah,
and
Matthew
worker
Shravan.
memory allocation.
well. Sorry. So that is what like how you can optimize in a job level, stage level, and task level. We will say, and about partitioning part, we will be covering up there.
Matthew Shravan this side. I just
Hmm?
wanted to know that like whether we can like is it necessary to learn the Python or like PySpark is also the something which we can use as an alternate? Like which is the like do we have to know both the things? Could you
So
please just let me know?
sure. So if you are mainly dealing with EMR and step jobs and glue, basically that will be purely based on PySpark. But PySpark is again a library which is built on top of Python. So you should be knowing Python to understand PySpark. So Python is the core thing. So some case, right, you will be writing a UD define functions and all, then you will be calling that in as your PySpark operation for the transformation. So you have to understand that part as well. So for that, Python is a mandatory thing. If you know Python, then you can easily learn PySpark.
And Libin, are we with respect to PySpark? So are we to what extent we need to learn on RDDs? So is it required RDDs or just working on the data from is enough
So
from a data engineering role perspective?
yeah. So when we say about RDD, right? So if you are having a smaller transformation and if you have to perform that on a larger uh, data frame, then we will be using RDD concepts. So it is it's kind of like both we have to learn. So majority of the cases, what in real time we do is we will be getting data frame, then we will be processing. For some transformations we will be making converting that part alone as RDD, and we will be doing that part for the better performance.
So
So we
we
have
will
to
cover RDD also, right, in our course.
we will be covering RDD as well as data frames. And there is another concept called data set. We will not dive in depth into data set. We will be covering mostly RDD and our data frames.
So, Levin, can you share the course content for us?
It is available in the net, I guess. You can log to the visual path site, and there you can see AWS Data Engineering Analytics training. So it's already available there. If you want, I can share through that as well.
And Libin, do we have any no, syllabus? I do not say related to APIs connecting to other servers to because in one of my interviews I just randomly attended. So there they
Uh-huh.
were stressing on the APIs and REST APIs. Yeah, real
So
time and near real time. So
So what we can do is like, I mean, what I thought is like the course content in a way such like we should be getting data from Kinesis. So if you want to get the data from another API, I can quickly show you that part as well. So when we're developing it in an EMR or Glue, right? I
Mhm.
can fetch some real-time API, so whichever serves data for us. We check some few open source one. If I get some open source one, I'll show you that part as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Any other doubts or course related information that's required, please do let me know. I can answer.
And yeah, another question, Levin. I mean, I think I asked again. I just want to ask because it related to my work that I'm going
No,
to.
no, no issues.
So,
Yeah, please go.
yeah, do we have any concept like converting the logic from step functions to Airflow? I mean, is it like a
Uh,
job can the activity can be done through either step functions or Airflow? So, but still we want to convert from step functions to Airflow.
okay. So it is step functions to air. converter. Either you can call your step function from Airflow and get the results there. That is possible.
Okay, because we have the requirement. That's what I heard. Like we will be whatever the work existing work is there in step functions, and we need to
Mhm.
convert that into Airflow.
That
So
that it is like there is a library called Boto 3. So
okay,
you can access all the services of AWS using Boto 3, and you find for any of the service and you can get it triggered.
okay,
That part
yeah.
we will
Because
cover like when we say about in installing CLI part, right? So in that case, we will be creating an access key and a secret key for your uh, AWS account. So using those two things, you will be able to access the rest. So that is come same goes to when you have to integrate your AWS with any other third party systems like Databricks, or like you want to access your AWS uh, services from another source. When I say another source, it can be few of the companies, right? For processing, they are using AWS, and for storing, they will be using GCP. So for that to interconnecting these two things, they will be linking it like that. So that part also I will cover, I will say, because I said like I will be covering up how you can integrate AWS with a Databricks, right? So that part and this part, Vijay, both will cover it together so that I can tell you from, I mean, a sample notebook how you can trigger or access the same way that you can access it from Airflow as well.
okay, right.
What about the class duration? And, it's like 1 hour, 1.5 hour. So
It is 1 hour regularly in the morning. That's what I heard. That I have to check with the organizer once again, and I mean, they will confirm you guys on that part.
So what would be the timing for this course?
Timings is also again they will confirm you on that part. I'm not that sure about it. I'm sure it will be in the morning section, but the exact timings they will be knowing you.
You are
Will you
from
provide
which
any
time zone,
material? Answer.
Matthew? You are from which
So
time zone?
I'm from India actually. So
India.
I just I
Oh,
just
oh.
Okay, I think yeah.
okay. So
And
if you guys
yeah, I mean, how soon we'll be starting the course? Maybe? Because last time when I said like it is going to be started today, so I thought like
okay,
yeah,
yeah, it's not today. It's a demo session. That's
okay,
again maybe I believe it's maybe by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. That's again don't take it as a confirmation. That's also you have to connect with
okay,
the organizer. They
okay.
will confirm you on that.
Okay. Thank you, Levin. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. If you are having any course related doubts, you can ask me. I'm happy to answer that part. Else, like we can drop the session, wind up the session.
if you don't mind,
Sure.
can you make this course medium to advanced level?
Sure. Because I mean, it's not. I mean, if everyone requests the same, I can do that. So I cannot
Because
expect.
my
I mean,
expectation is a little bit more. So we want to get in-depth knowledge about Lambda,
we'll be
Athena,
covering.
Glue,
We'll be covering it actually. So
with
from the base,
real-time problem solving skills.
real time we will be doing real time. It's that's what I said. Like I mean, we will be covering the concepts and what is required. Then we will be moving into the real time different ETL pipelines and processes, and we will be triggering it in different ways and different pipelines.
And what
So,
about streaming?
sorry,
Streaming,
what about
streaming pipeline,
streaming
streaming
pipeline also?
services in AWS.
Yes, that we will be using Kinesis for that, for getting the logs and all, and also like we'll be uh, covering the API part as well. So these are the two requests that I got. So we will be covering both APIs as well as log streaming. So these two will be getting covered. I believe nobody have any other questions, right? If you're having, please let me know. Else we can drop.
Yeah, Levin, I just want to know about your experience like with respect to AWS. Like how many years you've been working?
Yeah, I've been working in AWS for last 6 years. So it's not only in AWS. I am like a cloud architect working with GCP, Azure, and AWS. And into data engineering, it's also like a 6 years. So I worked with companies like Geo and Bayer and TCS. So these are the three organizations that I have worked as an data engineer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I believe nobody has no other questions. Then we'll wind up the session. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining.
Okay, thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks.